Hey guys, when I was 7 years old, all of a sudden it was the big deal at our elementary school to hear about all the stories of kids making prank phone calls. They thought that was really cool. And it was, we were 7. So a group of us got together and we thought we can do this too. So we planned it out. And when the day came for our big prank phone call, one of us stood lookout and we gathered together around the phone. We called the store, and when the store clerk answered, we said, "Hey, do you have pop in a can?" And the store clerk said, "Well, yes, we do." And then we said, "Well, you better let him out because Ma says it's time for dinner." And we hung up the phone and we laughed so hard. We thought we were something special. But then we were kind of worried that maybe one of our siblings might be telling on us. We were kind of worried that maybe one of our parents might figure out what the heck we were up to. And we realized it really wasn't that fun anyway. And we decided to get away from the telephone and to go outside and to ride our bikes, because that was actually fun. At 7 years old, we had a conscience, individually and collectively speaking. At 7 years old, we knew right from wrong. Take a look at the gang stalkers. They don't have a conscience, either individually or collectively speaking. They don't know right from wrong. They seem to crave attention for themselves, and it appears they'll do anything to get it. Did you know that back in the day, if you were a woman who was going to buy a brand new car and you wanted to buy a stick shift, that when you went into the dealership to take the car for a test drive, that they would insist that a man actually drive you? No kidding. The salesman himself would want to hop right in the driver's seat to drive it for you because everyone knew that women didn't know how to drive a stick shift. And they couldn't take that risk. It was all about their liability. Did you know that? Did you know that back in the day, if you planned to build a brand new house and you wanted to get a construction loan, that you had to jump through extra special hoops if you were female? Did you know that back in the day, that if your husband raped you, that it wasn't really rape because you were married? At least that's what you were told. Did you know that back in the day that men could beat on their wives and children, and that police officers would routinely walk away, calling it all a family matter? Did you know that back in the day, if you got pregnant, your boss could fire you for being pregnant? No kidding. Did you know that back in the day, if he didn't fire you when you were pregnant, he could fire you if you wanted to take any time off after the baby was born? Did you know that back in the day that women who chose to breastfeed their children were scoffed at by society and accused of not caring whether or not their children were getting proper vitamins and nutrients? Did you know that? Did you know back in the day that the American Medical Association advised pediatricians to give the MMR at 12 months? But did you know there were a handful of us moms who said no? 12 months is too early. And then guess what happened? A couple of years later, the AMA decided that if a baby was given the MMR at 12 months, they had to have a booster because they found that giving the MMR at 12 months was not effective. Did you know that? Did you know that studies were done which showed that disposable diapers were actually better for your baby's bun than cloth? But then other studies came out and argued that point and evidently supported the theory that cloth diapers were actually better. Did you know that some pediatricians said, do not use cloth diapers? And that some mothers said, I don't care about any of those studies. I know what's best for my baby and I'll use whichever diaper I choose. Did you know that when a child was pegged by a teacher as having ADHD, she would fill out a report. The parents would be told to take the child to the pediatrician. The pediatrician would read the report. It would be a one-pager, typically, saying that the child wasn't paying attention or he was daydreaming or he was having a tough time getting his classwork done. And by the end of that office visit, the child would be prescribed Ritalin. Did you know that? Did you know that teachers were trained back in the day to watch out for male children from single-parent homes? They were trained at the university to watch out for the male children from single-parent homes because they would be most likely young boys who would need Ritalin. So to keep your eye on them, and if they started to daydream, or if they had a tough time getting their work done, if they were a boy from a single-family home, then the teachers were trained to fill out the form to send them to the pediatrician. Did you know that? Did you know that back in the day, if you wanted to homeschool your child, you weren't allowed to? Did you know parents were actually arrested in many cases for wanting to homeschool their own child? I think you're kind of catching my drift, right? Women of my generation fought long and hard so that women of the gang stalkers generation could have it good. We didn't expect them to have it better than men. We expected them to have equal opportunities as men, right? But look at what we have created. When we look at the case of Christopher Watts, we're not looking to bash anybody. But with experience and education and training and decades under our belt of fighting for fairness and equality and to protect our children, to fight for the safety of children in our society. With all of that in our toolkit, we're looking at the case of Christopher Watts and we're saying, there's something very wrong here. There's no way in hell those kids had all of those illnesses, diseases, and allergies. There's no way in hell. There's something very wrong. There's no way in hell she was taking 28 pills a day and that she could suddenly quit them all at once after moving to Colorado. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell she ever made $500,000 a year. No way in hell. When we're told by people who claim to have known the family that there was an open CPS case, it is reasonable for us to believe it. When we're told that there was a hearing coming up in just a couple of days because of an open CPS case, it is reasonable for us to believe it. And when we're told that in his first police interview, Christopher Watts said he did not murder Bella and Cece, in our opinion, it is reasonable to believe it.